RJ, what did we just watch?
I'm asking myself the same question. I mean, we'll start by saying we watched a Kraken win. I mean, that's a good way to
Yeah,
start it off. But that was a weird hockey game. Just a weird hockey game. I don't know exactly what that was. I mean, it was sloppy at times, a high scoring, but not always the highest danger chances. I mean, we'll start with this. The expected goals in this game per natural stat trick were 2.16 to 1.82 in favor of the Ottawa Senators. So if everything made sense, you're looking at like a 2-2 or 2-3 hockey game. It may be in the Senators' favor. Instead, it's an 8-4 Kraken win. I don't know how to explain this. You've got a hat trick on the losing team that just by the time that goal was scored, just doesn't feel all that important. You've got the glass popping out and falling down on a fan. That doesn't usually happen. And just the way the goals were scored too. Each of the Kraken's first 7 goals, and this is probably has something to do with the expected goals, were scored from more than 15 feet out. It was just a weird kind of game.
yeah. I mean, I was gonna say the only thing I can say to explain any of it, RJ, that they lost the face-off battle.
Well, there you go. And then, of course, a win. Although that's the one thing that
is.
made sense in this game.
That is the only thing that made sense in this game. Thanks everybody for joining us here on Emerald City Hockey's post-game live after that 8-4 Kraken win over the Senators out there in Ottawa, presented by Queen Anne Beer Hall. RJ, am I doing math right? Are we 1 week away from the live event over at Queen Anne Beer Hall?
Yep, that's a week today. So we've got the live event coming up. Hope that a bunch of you can come join us. There it is. You got the graphic up there. Kraken at Blackhawks. That is Saturday, a week from today, January 14th, 2023 at 5 p.m. Game start time. I'd recommend coming a little bit early. Just, get set up, get all your your drinks, your snacks, get a pretzel, man. The pretzels are so good. Start off with one of those and get everything set up. But yeah, it's going to be so fun. I'm looking forward to having you up here.
Yeah. I can't wait at all. I can't believe it's only 1 week away. Now, in that time frame, we've got some more Kraken road games, which probably will mean some more good Kraken performances like that 8-goal performance. 8 goals from 8 different players tonight. That's a lot of fun whenever you can string something like that together. And a lot of the big names that we had been talking about for weeks waking up. They're scoring goals. Bjorkstrand, McCann, Maddie's is just been on fire lately here. Jordan Eberle gets in there. Andre Burakovsky gets in there. Like, I was really, really happy that, yes, they're scoring goals, and we can maybe talk later about like how many they should have scored, all that kind of stuff. But the bottom line was, I'm just happy to see all of these names and faces here when I look at the scoring summary.
Yeah, and we talked about this when they were kind of going through this scoring drought of, okay, when is the top 6 going to wake up? When are you going to start to get production from these guys? And I hinted after last game that hopefully the floodgates were opening there, and it looks like they're wide open after this one.
Yeah, absolutely. Going to start off chat here with Shoeshine. What a stupid game.
Echoing our sentiment from earlier in the stream.
Totally understand what you're going for there, Shoeshine. CR Bud, Road Warriors do it again. Absolutely. This team is lights out on the road, and apparently lights out on the road in Canada, which is why, RJ, tomorrow I'll be debuting a change.org petition to have all Kraken games next season played on the road in the country of Canada.
I don't think I would sign that petition given where I'm located and given where a lot of the fans are located.
This is what separates the real fans, RJ, is do you want to see your team go 82-0, or do you want to be able to see them play in person in your city? That's what's up. Michael, third 8-goal game of the year for the Kraken by January 7th. Who in the world saw that coming? Also, third straight 5+ goal game. Yeah, they're absolutely crushing it, Michael. The offense is just pouring out of these guys. Like, it just swings. And I am worried that at some point this is going to swing heavily back the other way, and it's going to be terrible again for a little while. But I don't know. I just think that this team, because of the depth they have, the way they activate their defensemen, all of that stuff. I mean, this does feel more so what this team is built for, as much as Dave Haxtell doesn't want to talk about that.
No, I mean, I think it's because he's trying to keep that defensive focus there. Because when it's not there, it gets ugly. But as far as like the defenseman activating and all that, that caused so many of the Kraken's goals tonight. You look at Justin Schultz, kind of zipping into the high slot, getting that tip there on his goal. You look at Vince Dunn down below the goal line, activating and setting up. Was that the which goal was it? There were 8 of them. But anyway. That's just something that's gonna lead to a lot of goals there for the Kraken.
Yeah, no, absolutely. It's good stuff that they're doing offensively. The defense has been right there, continuing things. I don't see why this would stop anytime soon. Sarah reminding us all that we are still undefeated in 2023. Telling you, it's the year of the Kraken, 2023. Michael, a rip to Forsberg and Talbot's save percentages. Forsberg 400, about 700 for Talbot.
Oh, yeah, rough one for the
Awful.
goalies all around tonight.
Absolutely brutal. Absolutely brutal right there. Got a super chat. Let me come down here. Mo Maggin. I had to
Yep.
no 8-4 figured if you took any sort of over at this one, you were in good shape. Mo Maggin with the super chat. Kraken win 5.5 total goals plus 290 easy. Tolvanen anytime goal scorer over Maddie for 390. Won't bet against Maddie ever again. That's probably a good decision. Good lesson to learn early on here in the careers there. But congrats on hopefully a good night for you. Thanks again for the super chat.
Man, that hit the over like early in the second period, didn't it?
Yeah, you had to be feeling pretty good early on. That's the way you want it. Another super chat here from Brian. They brought a Stutzel. We brought 4 lines of relentless effort, sharp passing, and non-retaliatory discipline. 8 different goal scorers. We're a wagon. That is right. And we need to get, this is really important too. Like we'll address everything else you said, Brian, but the fact that the Kraken are doing this on a Canadian road trip like this. They're showing
Yep.
up in all of these buildings, showing off to all of these, big time hockey media people in all these big markets. And hopefully, this will put a stop to all of them continuing to act like, are they for real? Can they sustain it? What's going on here? Like, no, we're just for real and we're just beating the crud out of you.
Yep, this is going to go a long way toward that end, I think. And it's unfortunate, but that's when people start to pay attention. I was listening to, friend of the show, friend of ECH, Kate Shefty from the Seattle Times on NHL Morning Skate the other day, and the host was like, how about that big win against Toronto? That's got to be like, the biggest win of the season for the Kraken and the most important. I'm like laughing. She's like, well, it's up. There's others that might be ahead of that, but it's up there, I guess. And but that is the way that you get respect, I guess.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so I agree with you, Brian. We are wagging there. And then all 4 lines were rolling tonight. The passing was really good. I mean, they were setting up good scoring chances. Yeah, you got 8 goals, but there were some other plays that Ottawa got lucky, just didn't materialize for the Kraken. They were really feeling it in the offensive zone. You could see that, and you could just tell that they were all in sync with each other. There was elements in that second period, RJ, that just felt like the Kraken were out there trying to play pond hockey almost with the way that they were trying certain passes in the offensive zone. They were really feeling it.
Yeah, I think at a certain point they just felt like the straightforward shot was too easy. They were all going in. Let's try and create something a little prettier.
Although apparently they weren't all just straightforward shots, or they were, but they weren't high expected goals there, given the expected goals. 4 Horsemen road trips are fun. They are indeed. Road trips through Canada, really fun. Remember when that used to be a scary idea, RJ, for teams?
Yeah, that once upon a time, but it's pretty nice now.
Michael reiterating 8 different goal scorers. And that is one of those things that if you were to put up like a word cloud for what this season is for the Kraken, I feel like that is, something to that effect would be one of the bigger things that we've talked about, just the depth that they have and their ability to go out there and win those battles, especially on the road where you don't have matchups. It's like, kind of pick your poison here. We're going to beat you no matter what.
Yeah, this team's scoring depth is something special, and you see that even when you compare it against anybody in the league. When you talk about number of unique goal scorers, unique point scorers, games with 10 plus individual point scorers.
Mhm.
The Kraken just leading in all of those, and it creates a team that's just so hard to match up against, no matter who you are.
Absolutely. Got a super chat here from Sean. Got to keep winning the weird ones. Loving the effort on this trip. This version of Vince Dunn is what we need. Maddie with another gutsy performance. Yeah, Vince Dunn had another fantastic night. He's really heated up as well. And then you gotta love to see that in front of the everybody there with the cutout and everything. It
The
was
Vince
awesome.
Dunn fan club in
Yeah.
force for this
Yes.
game and the last game too. I mean, maybe there's something to your petition if you can get it in that area of like, you just in Ontario or in the between Toronto and Ottawa, just get all the games there. Apparently, you're gonna just have superstar Vince Dunn.
Mississauga boy right there.
Yeah.
And then yeah, Maddie with the gutsy performance. You said it right. I mean, how fired up was he to score that goal as his eyes just
Do you
kind of
see his
glaze
celebration
over
though?
and
Yeah,
he's just screaming into the void? Like, I love it.
it was amazing.
Oh, it was so good. Good stuff. Thanks for the super chat there, Sean. Daniel, all 4 lines scored. Crack stack, baby.
Yes, and yeah, he pointed that out to me mid game, and I saw him like, yes, let's go. I think he asked about it last game too. I'm like, we're 1 line short. The 4th line hasn't, but this game, I mean, everyone got theirs.
Yeah, it was fantastic. I really loved. Did we ever figure out a name? If there's a name for that, like a
No,
legitimate
I have
hockey
not heard
term?
anything. Yeah. Oh, I forgot to. I was going to ask like Forsland and Edzo, but then they
Yep.
weren't around post holidays because it was all the national games.
Yep. All right. We'll have to still get on that one. Cody, nice to see the giant baby Brady get a spanking. I would normally agree with you. He's on my fantasy team, but let me tell you, 2 spankings tonight. Brady got one out there on the ice. Got one on my fantasy roster as well. Not looking good this week. CR Bud had to shut down a Sens fan saying he hates Vegas and Seattle because they were given such advantages. Had to explain his false equivalency. Yes, I would love to know what advantages Seattle had other than we hired Ron Francis and nobody else did.
Yeah, I mean, and that's something any team could have done theoretically.
Yeah.
Yep.
Being in an amazing sports market that's going to shower the NHL
Well,
with
that's why not every
revenue
team could do it.
and
See,
get us a
we've got
Winter
the advantage of
Classic.
being in
Yeah.
Seattle, so that is some inherent advantage. You got to give it to that. If that's what they're complaining about, I get it.
Yeah. Let's see. That's a classic Kraken game right there. Everyone hustling, finishing checks. Let's go from 4 horsemen for sure. I mean, they kept it physical in this one. Not only is the 8-4 goal number obviously larger than we're used to seeing in the NHL, this game, RJ, the Senators 46 hits, Kraken 32 hits. I can't remember the last time there was a Kraken game where I'm looking at these numbers and I remember seeing numbers as high as 32, much less 46.
Yeah, I mean, I think I have to look into maybe how the scorekeepers are tabulating a hit there. I mean, it was a physical game. There were a lot of finished checks, so I'm not surprised by those numbers, but man, that's high.
I just too much World Junior. You said finish checks, and I was like,
What?
I'm still in like international hockey tournament mode. I was like, new super team coming out? What?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I guess yeah, I don't know what's going on with the way they count hits there, but that is something. Brian, what a time to be alive for sure. Alex didn't catch all this game, but sounded like the boys didn't let off the gas. They didn't. They really didn't. Although shots 24-23. Go
I
figure.
know, just yeah, such a low actual shot on goal counter game. But yeah, they didn't let off the gas. It was 60 minutes. They were just going trying to score more.
Yep.
Evidenced by that Burakovsky goal to make it 8. They're just keep setting up these great offensive plays.
Yep, we talked about the 8 different goal scorers earlier. Sean also pointing out 6 guys with multiple points in this one too. Like that's good, healthy stuff. Help everybody reach those contract incentives. You know what I mean?
Yep.
It's good stuff. Just wanted to say that Vince Dunn has gotten me almost as many fantasy points as Tage Thompson this week from SJ. Well, congratulations on having both of them on your fantasy team. But yeah, Vince Dunn absolutely on a tear right now.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, he's just playing so confidently. I mean, that's the first word I think of when I watch it play. He's confident. He's willing to step up, go a little lower in the zone, put more pucks on net. All the things we've really been wanting to see from him on a more regular basis. And I'd love to see him just continue that forward through the end of the road trip. Bring it home. Bring that Vince Dunn home to Seattle.
Yep. All right, now I got a question here. Alex is pointing out only 4 Kraken didn't have points tonight, RJ. Can you name those 4 Kraken?
That did not have points.
Yep.
All right. All right. Will Borgen?
Also, the correct answer is there are 5 of them.
Well,
Sorry,
Martin
Alex.
Jones.
No,
Will
not
Truba.
counting
Okay,
goalies.
okay.
There's
We're
actually
doing
5.
skaters. Okay. Okay. Will Borgen?
No. Only 1 defenseman. I'll give you that, but it's
Oh, all
not Will
right.
Borgen.
Morgan Geeky.
Yeah.
Okay. Brandon Tanev.
Yep.
Ellie Tolvanen.
Yep. Does this mean Donato's coming in next game?
Maybe. Although don't mess with this lineup.
Yeah.
How many more am I missing?
2, one forward, 1 defenseman.
I
I could
don't
give you.
want
I
to. I
could
don't want
give
to take
you
up too
obvious.
much.
I know. I was gonna say the People's captain Yanni Gord and
Okay.
Carson Soucy is the defenseman.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
That's but say that's pretty good.
Yeah. So I don't read these names off to publicly shame them at all. They all played really good games. Yanni Gord out there, that line cooking. Morgan Geeky, always happy to have him in the lineup. Interesting though, no shorthanded time on ice for Morgan Geeky. They since they've changed up that PK, it's not his style anymore, and it is interesting.
Yeah. Didn't he get some PK time last game though against Toronto?
Yeah, a little bit. Not as much as you'd
Interesting.
normally see from him, but yeah, they
Yeah.
obviously think that it's just not as suited for him anymore. McCann out there with 1:25, shorthanded time on ice. Interesting.
Nice.
Joey, so happy for Berkey finally gets a goal after 15 games. I mean, that was one of the coldest cold streaks that we have seen. Like, obviously, the Bjorkstrand one and everything we can talk about, or like, Donskoy from last year, but those were like start off the season kind of cold situations. Like Burakovsky was leading the team in points for a while there, and then just couldn't score to save his life. It was really weird.
Well, I weird in a way, but I mean, isn't that the book on Andre Burakovsky? That's what we were hearing all summer when the Kraken signed him. He's hot and cold, and when he's on, he's nearly impossible to stop. But when he's off, with the Avs, he was a healthy scratch player. So good to see him get, back on the board here. And hopefully with him, it's probably the start of something big.
Yeah, agreed. I think this is good to get him going. Once again, I'll gladly say how happy I am to be wrong about Hackstall from Michael there. I just think he came in and he is making those changes to keep them going and keep them from sliding into big losing streaks and to try to fix the PK as much as possible. This is all the stuff they need to be doing, and thankfully the team is rewarding it.
Yeah, and going back to last season, we said, say what you will about Hackstall and this team's motivation, but they never give up. There's no quit in this team ever. And you saw that again tonight with the response goal there after the Sens tied it 3-3. That game easily could have gone off the rails at that point. Easily.
Yeah.
But they didn't give up. They scored immediately afterward and they ran away with it. Just like last game against Toronto when the Leafs tied it 1-1. And Hackstall said that was the biggest goal of the game, easily. And, so you can tell, he values that right after a shift. It's so nice to have the response goals in our favor, right?
Yeah, and it was exciting tonight. And get that Sprong one, get him a goal in there. Like it all just worked. I guess the McCann one technically isn't a response goal, but it felt like one way back in the first period, if we can all remember that far. Some fun stats here. Shoeshine with Ottawa had a 666 save percentage tonight, which is kind of interesting. And then Sean, somehow McCann was -1 on the night. Lol. Yes, McCann, the only Kraken with a minus tonight, plus minus. Don't know how that happens.
It's a weird game.
Let's see. Eberle, Burakovsky, and Stutzla were the stars tonight from Derek there. Brendan, how's it going, chat? How are we all doing this evening? I say we're doing pretty good after this one. Daniel Would you say that that game was shinny?
That's right. We
That's
didn't hear the shinny hockey from Allison, but there were definitely stretches of that game where it felt like it.
yeah. Let's see here. Strong teams can sometimes let worse teams hang in there for a bit and then pull away later. That might be what we saw tonight from Alex. I don't know. I don't know that that was necessarily the case. I think this is just one of those weird nights where just things were happening, and that line for Ottawa was just kind of feeling it just as much as the entire Kraken roster was feeling it.
Yeah, although I do think they loosened up a bit to kind of match the way the Senators play, and you'd like to see it be a little tighter, but overall don't have too much of a problem with it.
Yep. Then we've got here super chat from Kitty V Kraken. Let's go ahead and throw this one up. I hope I come to regret this, but I pledge a $20 super chat for every post game the Kraken score 8 or more, even if they lose. So much fun to watch.
There you go.
That's very, very good there, Kitty V Kraken. I hope you come to regret that as well.
Yep. Yeah,
I think
love
all
to
of
see
us
you.
would take it. Everybody but
Yep.
Dave Hacksaw would be very happy with that, I think.
Yep, for sure. I mean, that's it's amazing the Kraken have done this so far this season. But I
Yeah.
don't know. I feel like we might not have seen the last of it this season.
It's certainly possible with the depth they have, the defensive scoring that they get. Like, it's totally possible. I don't think that's off track at all. Um, let's see. First time in the NHL this year, 8 different goal scorers from Daniel. It's interesting.
Oh, that's
I
cool.
wonder if I mean, you might be able to go seasons before a team can score 8 with 8 different guys.
Right. It's got to be rare because I mean, 8 goal games in the first place are
Right.
are going to be pretty rare. And then just
Right.
that nobody was scoring multiple goals to kind of lead that. Yeah.
Either that
Huh.
or maybe Daniel's just kind of messing with us because the year is only 7 days in.
Mm.
Maybe this happens all the time. I don't know. Love me another 2-point Matty game from Coop. Yeah, and I love again the fact that it's coming on this road trip through Canada. He's heating up. Tonight, all those potential Calder voters are going to see him get banged up, get ridden into the boards like that, come back, score that big goal, be involved. The 200-foot game that he plays. So this is good stuff for the campaign, RJ.
Oh yeah. No, I mean, and that heart and soul play on that goal where he takes the big hit, gets up, puts his head down, and goes to work. I mean, that is the stuff that voters are going to eat up.
Yeah. Joey, we outscored them 5-1 after being tied 3-3. Yeah, the Kraken, this felt like one of those games, and they've had a couple of them this season where it was just like, hey, you know what? We're feeling it. Let's not let anything go wrong here, and let's just pour it on.
Yeah. No, that's really what it felt like. I mean, just at a certain point, and it felt like you could too. The Sens,
Mhm.
play in a way that's going to give you some time and space to work, and the Kraken took full advantage.
Yeah, absolutely. The Kraken's scoring by committee is for real and is potentially the scariest offense in the league. Ron Francis for Jim Gregory. We talked about that last post game, I believe, or on a deep dive somewhere. It was some time recently, but I don't see how he doesn't get votes for it this year.
Yeah, I mean, if this team makes the playoffs, he's going to get a lot of attention.
Yep. Let's see some more love for that there. Gregory, lemon lime Gatorade time. Every third shot was a goal. That's an insane stat. I've got mine here. I'll be enjoying it throughout the evening. Every third shot was a goal. That is so wild.
It's just
RJ.
wild to think about.
I know. Certainly the most dangerous fourth line in the league from Alex. Definitely. Edward Dillon, top 6 production for Kraken, looking a bit better now, wouldn't you say? Absolutely. I've been giving them all the credit this last little bit here. They are all heating back up. It is so good to see that, and that's why I think we're seeing all these 5+ goal games. We're seeing them not only get a win streak going here, but like these are like not close games either. Like, it's not like, oh, the depth scoring fell off and then the top 6 is just kind of replacing that, and maybe it's a little bit more and so we can eke out some wins. No, we're just now crushing teams because they're all starting to heat up again. Like I said, do you want them all hot and cold at the same time throughout the course of a season? Maybe not, but I will take it when we can get it.
Yep. And hey, if it happens to come together during the playoffs, watch
Right.
out.
Absolutely. Weird game or not, I'm glad the hockey guy was wrong about this one from X Kid Z. Ooh, was the hockey guy saying stuff before this one? Interesting. Joey pointing out Kraken 139 goals this season. That's a lot of goals, RJ. I feel like we didn't get there until probably like the end of March last year.
Certainly feels like. I think that might be another one of those stats that will have to go way further into the calendar before they reached it last year.
Yeah, I'm trying to get the standings thing here to work
Oh, me
for
too,
me,
to see what, yeah,
so I
where
can
that
see
ranks in
where
the
that
league.
ranks. Yes. Let's
All
see.
right, that ranks. Oh, I'm sort by league goals for. That ranks 7th in the NHL. Well, actually tied for 4th. A big tie with like a bunch of teams, but
That's
tied
a
for
lot
4th.
of teams at
And they have
139
the
per
least
figure.
amount of games played of all of them. So
That's
we'll
what I
give
was
them
just gonna
4th.
say. Interesting. Buffalo with one game less played than the Kraken, leading the way at 149. Did
Yep.
not have
Think we
that on
might
my
see a high
bingo card.
scoring game on Tuesday?
Hey, for the live commentary,
Yep.
ECH live commentary, join the Patreon. We can all be there for it. We can all have fun
That is
during
part of the
that one.
reason why I picked it. I think that's going to be a really exciting game.
Come join us. Well, every Kraken goal, we'll take shots of lemon lime Gatorade. That's a
Let's go.
promise.
Yes. I
uh,
guarantee it.
Lindsay with the you get a goal, you get a goal, you get a goal. Everybody gets a goal. Absolutely. I love nights like that in the NHL. They are a lot of fun. They are
Yeah.
so much fun. I could say that
I,
now having been to one of them.
I know exactly, right? And speaking of, I see our bud asks Kitty B Kraken, is that retroactive on the 8-goal promise? And Kitty B Kraken says, I think I'm in trouble just going forward.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
Let's see. Light, definitely not the cleanest of performances. I hope the team walks away still learning how to improve our D. With that said, heck of a game to watch. Yes, I mean there was a couple moments on D where there was some breakdowns. Again, you get guys caught behind the net, open things up front. You do look at those goals that Ottawa did score. Those are from good scoring chances. Like I do understand why they had a healthy number of expected goals in this one, being able to get shots off from that kind of low slot there. It is just, you just got to hope that the good vibes and the momentum from winning the game carries over into the next one.
And it's a delicate balance too, and it's something that Dave Haxtell talked about when the team was in their slump and it all, lost 8 of their last 10 at that point. Where he was asked like why the team has a tendency to kind of get away from that good defensive hockey that they know they need to play. He's like, well, to be honest, because we got away with it for a long stretch of the season. We got away with it. And so that's going to be in Dave Haxtell's mind, trying to get that out of the team that no, you can't get away with this all the time. It worked tonight. It was a weird game, but back to work tomorrow and on Monday and Tuesday against Montreal and Buffalo.
Yeah, exactly. Alex, last year the Kraken hit 48 points on March 28th. And then also with the follow-up comment, almost to the point where I won't be able to do this comparison anymore. It's
That's
true.
true.
Like I can't recall. We're gonna have to, as this continues, RJ, as we get deeper and deeper into the season, we're gonna have to look up the all-time, like the biggest jump in points in NHL history season to season. Because I don't know what that is unless you do.
I think that was posted earlier on this season, and the Kraken were on pace for a top 3 finish in that in that regard. So I got to go check on that again with the Kraken's current pace. Again, they had a little bit of a slowdown. They're not projected for 110 points anymore, but they've got to be up there.
Yeah. And as Joey points out here, listing their road record of 12-4-2, that's a big part of it. It's just this road warrior thing. I know we've already talked about it, but it
And
never ceases to amaze.
I believe this win puts them above their road win total from all of last
year.
season.
Yeah.
Which was 11. So already can't do that anymore.
Absolutely wild. MVP of this game is Vince Dunn Fan Club from Hunter. Absolutely. Rebecca, addendum to Dylan's petition, bring the North Division back and move Seattle across the border. No problem.
Yeah.
Could happen. Could happen. With the followed immediately by Alex Barf's mention of the North Division. You don't want to be the Honda West? Come on.
Oh, the Honda West. Those times.
Nathan, that game certainly had the potential to turn into the Kings game. Nice to see, for the most part, the defense and Jones hold their ground. Yeah, Martin Jones, he did come up with some saves. You could maybe argue maybe 1 or 2 of those goals he might want back. But they went with him. They're still playing the hot hand, Hackstall is, and it's working. It's just still working.
It is, for whatever reason. And it just I finally went ahead and did it, and I looked at the goal support difference for each goalie,
Uh,
and I thought this was interesting. Care to just give like a rough guess, down to one decimal, as far as goal support for each guy?
down to 1 decibel. I mean, I
Like
don't.
it, like 3.2 or whatever.
Okay, so it's like goals per game
Goals the
then.
team scores when they're in net. Goals the
Okay.
Kraken score when they're in net.
I'm gonna say for Martin Jones, it is. I'm gonna say it's like, yeah, it's a little over 3 for Martin Jones, and I'm gonna say it's so like 3.4, let's say, for Jones, and like
Okay.
2.6 for Grew.
Okay, you're very close on Grew. Grew is 2.7.
All right.
So very close. For Martin Jones, 4.2.
Does any other goalie in the league have one that high with like any sort of?
Rounded, it's 4.19, but we'll call it 4.2.
That's ridiculous.
Average goals of goal support. In a couple 8-goal games and a 9-goal game will certainly help that. But that's crazy. I got to see where that ranks in the league if there's someone keeps
That's
track of it for all
that's
the
a lot.
goalies.
I mean, you would have to try hard to lose games like that. Like that's where you enter that kind of territory almost. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
All right, let's see. Nathan can't stay for the whole stream. Just wanted to chime in and say good win. Nice to see everyone involved. Maddie for Calder, go Kraken. Thanks for joining us while you can, Nathan. Hope you have a good rest of your night. Um, let's see. Halfway through the season and Kings goal differential is still negative. Yes, and as other people are pointing out in here, we've still got 4 games in hand on them.
Yep.
No, Nathan with the parting shot of PS like the stream. So
There we go. Perfect.
let's see. From 9, the depth of our team is definitely noticed tonight. It was. I am curious on a night like tonight as I look at the time on ice here. Yeah, everybody within just a couple minutes of each other. Yanni Gord really the only outlier at forward, him and Eberle, with the hitting 17 minutes. Otherwise, everybody 14, 15, 13, all right in there.
Yeah, I mean that's the luxury you have, in a game like this. You can really roll the 4 lines. It's great. I looked this up for the Martin Jones goal support. The Kraken score 4 or more goals more than half the time he's in net. More than half of the games they're putting up 4 or more.
That's absolutely wild. I will say this though. We talked about this. I kind of predicted. I think you go Martin Jones tonight, and then on Monday, I think you go Grubauer just to give Martin
Yep.
Jones those 2 days off. I still stand by that. I still think that's probably what Hackstall's going to do.
Agreed. And either way, Grubauer has to play one half of these, back to backs
Yeah.
at least. So I'd give Grubauer the first one. Give Martin Jones that tough one against the Sabres. It might end up another 8-4 game.
Yep. Joey, proud we didn't retaliate. Ottawa was trying to goad us into penalties. They were doing a
They
little bit
were.
of that tonight. I do think that part of this win streak for the Kraken, and the Kraken did still give Ottawa 3 power plays. Is though that we're not seeing that PIMS number in double digits the way that we were when they were really struggling there in December.
Yeah, no, they've been able to stay disciplined recently, and it's a point of emphasis, right? It was something that we all kind of identified was a problem, something that Hackstall even talked about, and I think it's more mental than physical at that point. You've got to be smart about things, and they've been better in that regard. The penalty kill being improved and that systems change on it kind of helps, but man, staying out of the box when you need to is huge. Even though Adam Larson had that one without a stick where he's like, all right, I'm just going to take this man out.
Yeah, gotta love that attitude from him. Favorite sequence of the game. This is from Al or Al. Favorite sequence of the game was Matty being knocked over, getting up, scoring on his next puck touch, and then a follow-up comment there from Joey. Love our future captain, Matty. I mean, it does. It shows so much of who he is. And like I said earlier, I'm just really happy that this is a game that's going to be watched by a lot of hockey fans. So their exposure to him is going to be a moment like that. And that's a big deal, that kind of first impression they might have. And then it's just, it's just a big deal as he goes through Canada that gets noticed by the media and by other teams, other general managers, other players. So not only does it help for like a Calder type vote, which is voted on by the media, but also when you get those end of year votes by the Players Association as they all weigh in on things. These are the kinds of games that really stick with those guys that you're playing, both with, but also against.
Yeah, for sure. And as soon as I saw that play, I was like, okay, I have to clip this right now. People need to see this, that whole sequence, because I mean that was huge. And that was after getting cut in the mouth after, his face going into the dasher. He's a gamer, he's a grinder, he keeps going.
Yeah, absolutely. So there was in here from Shoeshine the hey hey, in the words of Han Solo, don't get cocky. Apparently that was pointed to me for my comments about remember when Canadian road trips were scary.
I
So
think
it's
I
fair.
think you can afford a little bit of leeway.
That's
It's
fair. I'm just saying, Vancouver wasn't on this road trip for us, so was it scary?
Yeah, that's still the beast they need to slay. Let's not bring
I
our
know.
night down talking about Vancouver.
I know.
Next comment, go.
Let's see. The Kraken just keep proving to everyone that their depth is for real. Right. And that's where I think, Sean, that like at some point you would think we wouldn't be hearing from as we go to all these teams' barns for the first time, their announcers talking about like, oh, is what the Kraken doing this year sustainable? There's nothing more sustainable than having a deep team where you have four lines who could come in any given night and score goals. Like that's like the
Yeah,
most like sustainable thing you can have.
exactly. I'm gonna, just segue here into Krakenhawk's next comment. This team has depth and is becoming more dominant. What exactly did the league change to allow expansion teams to perform so well? And they did change the expansion rules to allow
Yeah.
teams to protect fewer players, because as it was before, it was ridiculous. You were getting,
Yeah.
bottom of the lineup, fourth liners, if that, kind of guys to fill a roster out. You basically had to just build it from scratch from the draft or free agency afterward. But now you're getting a lot of kind of second to third line bubble guys, and it allows you to build a roster where, yeah, you don't have any proper stars right now, but you've got 3 second lines. And you could say that kind of about the Golden Knights in their first season.
Mhm.
Basically, you had 3 second lines and a third line. That's what you have, and that's going to win matchups, 3 out of 4 times you put them
Right.
on the ice against a team that's constructed more traditionally.
Yeah, and the forwards work out that way. On D, you're getting a bunch of second pairing guys, so it's like you're having 3 second pairs, which
Yep.
again, you're doing well in the matchup game when it comes to that. And so I think that plays not just with the 5-on-5 stuff, but I think that also made a big difference. And I know the Kraken have struggled with this, but I don't think that would be normal if you had like say 100 expansions with these rules. But I think it also played a big part in special teams, especially for a team like Vegas, because it meant that you could go ahead and start with a pretty decent penalty kill because you have those defenders. It meant that you could come in and only have to make one or two additions in your first off season, one or two free agents or a trade, and the next thing you know, you've got two really solid, maybe not they're not spectacular, but they're going to be really solid power play units for you. And I think that that's also one of those things, as we know as Kraken fans, special teams could really make that difference night in, night out for you, that give you that extra little bit to tip the tide. And I think that's also something that helped them out that doesn't always get talked about. Let's see. Mo Baggett. Matty is the face of the franchise. He gets blasted into the boards, gets a mouthful of blood, goes out, takes a big hit, gets up, scores. Matty for captain. I, I've been here.
You've been there for a long time.
Yep. I still think it's going to happen, and these are the nights, right? Like next year in training camp, right when this gets kind of decided again. These are the kind of nights that everybody's going to remember within that organization. Joey, I'm excited to see how we match up against the Bruins later this road trip. It's going to be very interesting, Joey, to see what we can do there. Bruins, are they due a loss? It seems like they're due a loss. They've been sitting at 4 regulation losses for a long time. Someone's
I would
got to
say
do it.
they've been doing a loss for a while, I would think.
Yeah. Rebecca, Vince Dunn cardboard cutout got to come along on the road trip. Absolutely. I hope
Yep.
he signs that or something afterwards. I want to see some sort of social media post about it.
Oh, they'd love that.
Let's see, Joshua. If Matty does not win the Calder, the voters clearly do not watch hockey. Yeah, or they play favorites, and because I think he's just putting together a fantastic campaign right now.
Yeah, or they don't stay up to watch hockey at 10 o'clock local time. That's the other possibility.
Yeah, unfortunately. Daniel, loved all the wrestling references. Kraken should have a wrestling night. Yeah, I think you're probably right there, Daniel. I mean, there's a lot of love. Right? CPA just had an AEW event there. Just saw tons of that from people on the Discord, all over Twitter. Like, seems like there would definitely be a healthy market for it. And you know what? They do turn into fun nights.
Oh, totally. I think there would be a pretty good market for a theme night like that. It'd be a fun one too.
Is this the first game that all of the Killer Bees have scored a goal? Edward is asking. I think it might be.
Yeah, I was gonna say it might be. You have to go
It
check
would.
that nine
I
to
was gonna
eight
say.
Kings game again, but
Yeah, I was gonna say it wouldn't be that hard because Bjorkstrand's only got the 6 on the season, so you'd only have to go through those 6 games, and then you
that's
could
the
figure it
smart way
out.
to approach it.
That's
Yeah.
how I would do it anyway. Joshua, but consistently seeing Matty get abused with extra hits, late hits, blind hit is getting old. He stood up for Schultz. When is someone going to stand up for him? I'm looking at you, Larson, Alexiak, and Dunn. Ooh, interesting
Ooh,
there.
calling them out. Yeah, I
Yeah.
mean, go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say that is part of being the young star player. Like, this is not new treatment that for guys. I think it shows kind of how much the league respects him. That he's the kind of guy that they're targeting for this as we go building to building. I do think that that's kind of low key one of those things they just do to rookies that they really do have respect for, and they know are going to be a problem for them later on. As that kid continues to develop year in year out. Yeah, the Kraken could maybe do more. I think they're doing plenty. I think all those guys are doing a good job. And look, if anything really bad happened, they'd all be there. We all know that.
Oh, 100%. And this is something we've seen consistently. Anybody on the team would do it for anybody else if there was something really bad. We saw that with Matty stepping up for Schultz on that boarding hit. But anything that really crosses the line, they're going to step up.
Yeah. Let's see. Leanne from Twitter, guys. I understand that Shane remains in the Kraken organization, but how do trades within the junior league work? Are those teams not affiliated with specific NHL teams? Thanks. Yeah. So in the CHL, which is the Western Hockey League, the WHL, the Ontario Hockey League, the OHL, and the QMJHL, which I won't even go into all the things there. Within that system, the players can be they're all independent franchises. They all have their own owners. They're not affiliated with the NHL at all. The only thing that exists really between the NHL and the CHL is just this whole junior agreement that kind of keeps it so that Shane kind of has to go back to the CHL. But in exchange for that, the NHL gets this kind of feeder league where the NHL can draft players and they've experienced playing 70-game seasons and going through a league setup where they are semi-pro. They are given a little bit of cash for what they're doing. They're allowed to have sponsors, all that kind of stuff. So it kind of helps prepare them for life in the NHL. It develops them. It's a type of place where they can focus really on developing their hockey skills at a very young age, so that the NHL can get quote unquote, in theory, the best players in the world kind of from there. But yeah, they're not affiliated with any team. So if he's traded, when his rights get traded from Kingston to a different OHL team, it won't really affect the Kraken at all. They still have him. They could still, if they decided to, call him up. They're not going to do that, but they could. They would have that ability. But yeah, it's going to be really interesting to see where he goes.
Yeah, definitely. And thank you for explaining that one, Dylan. And thank you to Leanne for reaching out here. I know you commented on Twitter, and I figured just given the lengthy explanation, it'd be hard to fit that into the character limit on Twitter. But yeah, thank you for joining us there. And yeah, as far as trades too, you'll see some crazy trades where given the shorter amount of time that you'll have a player for in juniors, teams will massively load up for a certain year, and try and go on a Memorial Cup run. They'll trade away first round picks, second round picks, third round picks 2 or 3 years out. It's a much more boom or bust type of cycle. So you'll see teams really sell out.
Yeah, look at you, Thunderbirds.
Oh yeah, the T-Birds are loaded, loaded this year.
Yeah, everybody familiarize yourself with the WHL and the Seattle Thunderbirds this year, because this is their year. They're going to be making a big push. They made a big push last year with a young team. We knew it was all going to be coming back, and they have really worked hard to add to that. They want it this year. It's going to be a lot of fun to watch them. Let's see. Why are we so good on the road? The Basics wants to know, RJ.
If only I knew. I don't know. I can't figure it out.
I was gonna say if only Hackstall knew, you know how much money he could bottle that up and sell it to all the other coaches around the league.
Oh yeah.
He could have a nice little retirement fund there. Let's see. Coop, so nice to be the team scoring response goals after giving up so many last season. It is so nice. We talked about it earlier, how important it is, but it is something that it doesn't really get old, RJ. Just feels good every time.
Yep, every time. And I got to keep an eye on the game too when I'm drafting the goal against tweet because I feel like another one's coming.
Yeah. Sean, the overall response since being embarrassed by the Oilers has been really encouraging for this team's chance at postseason success. It is. I mean, the fact that they can always kind of stop the bleeding at a three game losing streak is a big deal. Obviously, I mean, yeah, you can't like only win at one every 4 games, but be like, hey, we never lost 4 in a row. But it is one of those things where, yeah, that very much felt like a rock bottom night. You could tell that everybody took that very, very seriously and wanted to change their tune. And yeah, you can only hope that moving forward, as they start to stumble, they maybe recognize the signs from before that Edmonton game so that they can try getting on top of that stuff before you have another night like that.
And how you respond to a loss, how you respond to that adversity in the playoffs is so important. Look at the Tampa Bay Lightning, who have won 2 of the last 3 Stanley Cups. They've been in the final every time. And one of the stats that just kept coming up as those playoff series went on was their record after a loss. And it was something like, 11-0, 12-0, 13-0 after a loss. They just did not lose 2 games in a row. And if you kind of refine that motivation, that ability to identify your own game and what you need to do better, that's the ultimate result when it's at its peak.
Yeah, absolutely. From Kepler here, love to see Maddie getting a little more aggressive, shooting the puck and getting rewarded for it the last few games. It is true. Maddie is not someone who wants to go out there and try to score goals with shot volume. RJ, that's definitely not Maddie's style. Coming into this game with an 18.6 shooting percentage on the season, which is obviously that's pretty healthy. That's pretty high. And then scoring 1 on only 2 shots tonight. He's definitely one guy, the kind of guy who likes to pick and choose his spots. Like when he's feeling it or when he knows he can catch the defense or the goalie off guard, he can let it rip like we saw him do tonight and then get rewarded for it.
Yeah, and when he's on, it's so fun to watch.
Yeah, it is. It never gets old. From Leanne here with the super chat. Thank you very much. Gonna go ahead and throw this one up there. Maddie and Shane tops now stickers to one person who can translate hockey and league rules into baseball speak for me. Okay, so it's interesting. Let's see if I could do this.
I certainly can't. Go for it, Dylan.
So like, yeah, in baseball, you have the normal, like there's the MLB level and there's all the leagues below it. I guess the closest thing would be like with the international stuff where you can sign international kids as young as, 16 or whatever, or at least that's the way it used to be. I know that now they're instituting a draft for international in baseball. But it's very kind of similar to that setup where it's like it is its own separate development league, although lots of money has been poured into it from the NHL, or in that case base MLB, right? They've poured a lot of money into those development camps in places like the Dominican Republic. And they send scouts down there and stuff, but it is not technically, they're not directly affiliated with it. That would be kind of the closest comp. It's not going to be like the minor league system where it's all the organization owns and kind of helps support and operate all of those teams all the way down the line. This is like a more separate independent thing, and so I think the kind of overseas international stuff would be closest to a baseball comparison there. We'll see if that works.
Yeah, we'll see. Let Dylan know if he did an okay job there, Leanne.
Yeah. Let's see. Where was I up here? Some good
while we're on these explainer questions, if you don't mind me going to David at the bottom of chat here, was watching the Sens broadcast and they said Kraken are 27th in the league for quote high danger chances. How is that calculated? They're scoring a lot. What makes it high danger?
Okay.
And
so,
I can start with the answer to that. Yeah. So it's calculated differently based on, different metrics that each, whether it's their broadcast team or their network has, teams have their own proprietary metrics, but a number of different things can go into what it constitutes a high danger chance. A lot of that is shot location. where a shot's coming from. Other is take into account puck movement before the shot. Others take into account types of shots that are taken, whether it's a slap shot, wrist shot, backhand, etc., deflection, things like that. I mean, there's any number of factors that you can put in there as to what constitutes a high danger chance. But like teams probably have the best models for that, but we don't get to see any of those. But so I'm sure that was like a publicly available model that they were using. But that's kind of what makes a shot high danger versus low danger. Have anything to add to that, Dylan?
No, I think that's pretty good. I would, it can be subjective depending on who's doing it. But yeah, I mean, generally we know what percentage, of the time a shot is taken in every different part of the ice and how often that turns into a goal. The ones where that percentage is higher, those are the high danger areas. Like it's just
Yeah.
kind of, it can be as simple as that, or it can be more complicated as the teams do.
And then real quick, so related to that, I wanted to get to something that Brian was asked us to discuss here on post game on Twitter. Because I was talking about the Kraken not even having hit one expected goal at this point, and had put up 6 goals already in the game. And he said, please discuss this stat in post game live. It can be due to sloppy, soft goals, or can it be because of the ridiculous snipes the Kraken are firing? How do we explain the super low expected goals totals in this one versus the actual goals?
Again, it kind of becomes subjective. We talked about it a little bit earlier, like with the idea like Ottawa having more expected goals than the Kraken makes sense to me, because all of their goals were scored and a lot of their big dangerous chances were taken from high danger areas or places where shot attempts are converted at an extremely higher rate than anywhere else, which would be like the low slot. We know shots taken from defensemen from the high slot, kind of when they're square to the goaltender, like it's like 3-1 higher than if they take it from their spot near the boards on the ice. So we know that there are spots like that, and then certain places like Money Puck, you and I both know they have the places they like a little bit more, where they will award a lot more expected goals than in other places without really factoring in too much of the play itself. They just kind of go off of that heat map. And so I think that that's really kind of just the tail of the tape on this whole situation for this game, was that it didn't line up with the heat map for the Kraken as much as the passing, the ability to pull the defenders out of place so that you can open up a good lane for somebody else that the Kraken were doing tonight. I just don't think that they factor that stuff in when they're determining what the expected goal is in their model.
Yeah, I think that's a big part of it. And also, as I pointed out earlier, just the fact that, at least for the Kraken, 7 of their 8 goals came from 15 plus feet away. And distance is just such a huge factor there.
Yeah.
As Jay's saying, I'd say the difference in the actual goals and the expected goals numbers in this game was that the goaltending was awful.
There's that aspect of it
part
too.
of it
Yes.
too.
Yes, you're working off of the averages of literally, what it probably goes back to like the full season lockout, most of this data, or it's at least 10 years worth of data. So yeah, if a goaltender just completely is out of it on any given night, then yeah, your expected goals is going to be lower than what that guy's giving up, just because in theory over the last 20,000 games those aren't going to be goals, but tonight they were.
Yep, pretty much. I'll let you finally get back to chat there, Dylan.
Yeah, no worries. CR Bud. Oh no. Let's see. Where was I? I jumped like way up. I already read that. Brian, after being humiliated by Edmonton at home, Hack had to talk. Tough practice followed. We won the next game, but the real victory came in coming together and delivering 60 minutes ever since. I really like that, Brian. That's some good stuff there.
Well
and I
said.
very much agree with it. X Strife getting the little one ready for bed. Just stopped in to give the stream my obligatory like, and we'll catch the replay. Thank you, and hope you're having a good day tomorrow when you're listening to this.
And by the way, we're working on adding this to the RSS feed. I'm working on it, figuring out the process there. So hopefully soon.
Yes. CR Bud, MVP may have been Cindy Lou Who Sends fan behind the glass. What a smile on that kid. Yes, and all credit out to Brady Tkachuk there for that classy move.
Oh yeah, classy move from the captain there. Not surprised.
I always knew he was the good one.
Fair enough. You did mention as much on the regular podcast.
Yeah, I did. Let's see. Edward Seattle, we're all about that sustainability. Lol. Exactly. Let's keep this going. Let's see. We're playing Montreal next. Our record versus them is 2-1. So that's pretty encouraging from Daniel there. Happy to have that in here. Al, Canada hates Seattle. Well done. Welcome to the club. Cheers from Edmonton. Thank you. I appreciate it. I think we can all feel pretty good about that now. Yeah, we've made lots of enemies north of the border this last
Oh
week.
yeah, point of pride for us.
Absolutely. Sean, although it's going to be tough for Shane Wright to not crack the Kraken lineup as an 18-year-old, he's on a perfect developmental path for success this year, like Beniers this year. Agreed. I do think that long-term, this is going to work out really well for Shane Wright. Go soak up giant minutes, in the OHL, go on a big Memorial Cup run. He had a taste of the NHL lifestyle. That stuff's not going to be new to him. I mean, it feels very much like stuff I was saying on draft night even, right?
Yep.
Where it was like, ideally what you want, if he's going to just get fourth line minutes, or in this case he might have to just be a healthy scratch, that's not good for his development. Ship him back off to the OHL, but keep him around as long as possible so that next year when he is going to be trying to break into the NHL, the only thing he has to worry about is the NHL game itself. He doesn't need to be worrying about what it's like to live on his own for the first time, right? He's already kind of worked through those kinks and problems, and that's going to be just massive as far as allowing him to hit the ground running. We saw what that did for Matty Beniers. Got to experience that a little bit at the end of last season. Now he can just focus on being a beast out there. And he is.
Yeah. And I think we'll see something similar from Shane Wright come September.
Yeah. Let's see. You're welcome, Leanne there. T-Birds are a wagon this year for sure from SJ.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it should be a good time. Let's see. Justin, we're good on the road because we're better when we don't have breaks.
I think there might be something to that.
I think there is something to that as well. Just the kind of that momentum that you naturally have being on the road, where it's just show up somewhere, morning skate, play a game, hop on a plane, show up, morning skate, get a game in.
Yep.
I do think that.
I mean, ask the guys. They like to get into a rhythm, whether it's home or road. They don't like those long
rhythm.
breaks.
Yep. Let's see. Joey, I'm watching the Avalanche and Oilers game. How's that game going? Let me know. How many points McDavid got? McCarr, is it like the BioSteel commercial? I need to know.
1-0 Oilers right now. McDavid, of course, with a point.
Yeah, obligatory. Coach Stewart, crazy to think what a year does. I remember last year it was a struggle to score every game. Insane. Absolutely. And this is a much better side of history to be on. When you can look back at the struggles from the good times. Let's see. You mentioned that one, Leanne. You did great, Dylan. I just need everything else about hockey translated. I'm trying to learn LOL. It's its own weird beast. And just take around and you'll catch up on it all. Can guarantee that. I'd say the difference in the actual goals and the expected goals. What?
Oh, nothing. I already got that one.
Oh, okay. Yeah, you're right. Got catching up there. And then Joshua, can you even do studs and duds on a game like this, or is it just all studs, no duds? I think for the Kraken, it is probably just all studs, no duds.
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, I guess. I'm trying to think of a dud.
Yeah, no, you can't. Not without like just calling somebody out for something kind of odd, like McCann. Ooh, a minus tonight. Oh, he wasn't like it doesn't work. He got a goal. He actually played a good game.
The glass tonight.
Glass is
falling down, and then also those weird bounces on the rim arounds off the glass that only benefited the Senators.
Yeah, it's almost like they knew that would happen if they did it, huh? I was gonna say, if you're Ottawa in this game, you have like a nice obvious stud and then a couple obvious duds. Anybody with pads on, goalie pads on, those are the duds. Kraken now have the highest goal total for 5v5 play in the league at 101 from JA. That does not surprise me at all. Like literally at all. Doesn't surprise me. We know that this team, they do not do well on the power play. That's not where they get their finishes. All that stuff is the bot just came in to
got it.
Hear that. And yeah, I totally believe it. And that's really the eye test backs that up too.
Yeah, totally. This team is so good at 5-on-5. If they can just, get the special teams to an acceptable level, which they've been doing recently, but if they can just keep that going, they're going to be so dangerous.
Yeah. Sean, I remember it took until January last year to score 100 goals, period. To hear we're at 105 on 5 alone is very cool. Totally agree, Sean. It is absolutely fantastic. Um, Rock Todd voted Berkey and McCann for All-Stars last night. Hey, here we go. Let's go.
Yep.
I like it. I like it.
And we talked about stuffing the ballot box, for the Kraken All Stars on the Red Glare podcast. We kind of went through all the All Stars, and yeah, there's a lot of good cases to be made. I mean, there were a couple comments on that podcast too. I know Becca was saying, "Stuff the ballot box for Yanni, please. You can vote for 12 players, 3 per division, 10 times per 24 hours. So vote early, vote often." And of course, she also added Pacific Division is short on D-men, so Lars are done are good bets too.
Yep, for sure. Dud, the Senators fan who couldn't get his hat in the ring from Omega.
Oh, that totally. There it is.
Yep, that's a good one. Good one for sure. Edward, Memorial Cup is hosted at a pre-selected neutral location, right? So if Thunderbirds and Wrights OHL Club both made it, we wouldn't see him come here for a game against the Thunderbirds. Yes, that is how it works this year. It is going to be hosted in Kamloops by the Blazers. And then the way the Memorial Cup always works, it's the champion team from the WHL, OHL, and QMJHL. They all come in, and then the host team gets an automatic bid into the Memorial Cup as well. And then it's just a round robin style tournament there. So Kamloops, which actually has a pretty decent team, like they might just be able to win the WHL anyway. They're going to be there, and they're going to be a force to be reckoned with for the Thunderbirds, for wherever Shane Wright goes, whoever ends up there. It's going to be an interesting tournament up there.
For sure. And not too far a trip out there. A long road trip out to Kamloops. Who's on board?
I was going to say, let's all hop on a bus just like the Thunderbirds and drive up to ride it all the way up to Kamloops. Let's go.
There we go.
To Sandman Center, where the Blazers play.
Wow. That's awesome.
Good to see. Joshua voted McCann and Larson. Ooh, I like that a lot. Keep that stuff coming. Going to love Shannon. The Hockey Guys Power Rankings video tomorrow morning. I bet we're the biggest mover of the week. I'm not going to take that bet, Brian, because yeah, probably.
Yep. It would not surprise me at all.
Yes, so good bot removal there from RJ for sure. Derek, been great to see Dunn grow into that top offensive defenseman role alongside stalwart Adam Larson. Yeah, I mean, we talked about it earlier this season, really not that long ago, maybe a month ago, that he still wasn't like kind of doing that. But these last couple of games, like I'm telling you, must listen to the post game lives, must listen to the podcast. I talked about him walking it to the center of the ice, taking shots from there, actually shooting on that second unit power play. He's done all that stuff, and look at where we're at, RJ.
Yep, the confidence and just that mindset of being willing to shoot, willing to do that stuff goes a long way.
Yeah, you ready for this? Just gonna.
Yep, pat yourself on the back. Go for it.
Get one of those here.
What? I'm gonna pat myself on the back here because Lindsay gave me the opportunity to. Kraken are also undefeated since RJ agreed to play goal for us. Just saying. It's true. And she says, "Night, I'll see you tomorrow, RJ." Yes, I will see you tomorrow night, late for that game at OVA.
Yeah, and hopefully that you better, like, after you actually play goal, agree to play goal for some future event too, to keep it going.
Yes, keep it going. Maybe far into the future. Hey, Lindsay, do you have a game for me to sub like 3 months out so we can just keep this energy going?
Yeah. What's the June schedule looking like? All right, everybody. Thanks so much for joining us after this awesome win. Another Kraken road win on this Canadian road trip. This I'm gonna finish the way we kind of started. Like, remember when this road trip was freaking us out? Idea of like, oh no,
Yep.
we're like crawling to the end of the year, and then we're gonna have to go on this massive 7-game road trip. Team's got our backs. They really do. Kraken know what's up, and they know how to start a year like 2023, the year of the Kraken. Thanks so much. Vince Dunn got Davy Jones. Derek letting us know. Good way to finish it off there.
Good.
He deserves it. He's
well deserved.
Performance. Yep.
Well deserved.
All right, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us here on Emerald City Hockey's postgame live, presented by Queen Anne Beer Hall. Again, we're only 1 week away from being able to do our watch along and postgame live from Queen Anne Beer Hall. 1 week, everybody. Make sure you get those travel plans in there. Super, super excited to see you all. I can't wait to get up there and see everybody. I'm so pumped for it. Thank you all for joining us here, and we'll see you all on Monday for another one of these. Hopefully keep it all going.